Hello everyone, I'm Ben Forehand and this is Sports Talk Rock. Connor McDavid and Jack Eichel have been compared against one another for the last 2 years, and their draft year was considered between the two one of the best draft rivals of all time in the NHL. So now the question is, will that rivalry continue into the NHL and throughout their careers? Now looking at their stats over the last year, Connor McDavid in the OHL had 120 points in 47 games. That's 2.6 points per game. He had 49 points in 20 playoff games. That led the OHL playoffs. Jack Eichel in the NCAA had 71 points in 40 games and averaged 1.8 points per game. And of course, you can look at those stats and say, well, Connor McDavid had more points, therefore he must be the better player between the two of them. Well, no, it's not that simple. I mean, Connor McDavid was in the OHL. He was one of the older guys, or I should say more experienced guys, having 3 years in the league. While Jack Eichel was the second youngest player in the NCAA. And Jack Eichel, who won the Hobie Baker Award, which he was I think he was the second youngest player next to Paul Kariya to do it, which is very good. But you look at these two guys, and you know, they always seem to match each other between their achievements. But one thing I like to state that looks, at their comparisons is their performance in the World Junior Championship. Connor McDavid, who we weren't even sure if he was going to play because he had that broken wrist, he came into the tournament and he dominated. He led the tournament, or he was tied for the tournament lead in points with some of his fellow Canadian teammates. He had 11 points in 7 games, and we saw him get better as the tournament progressed, and that was probably because he looked a little raw in the beginning of the tournament due to just coming back from injury. In that tournament, Jack Eichel, he had 4 points in 5 games. Um, and the reason why I like to compare these guys uh, with their play in the World Juniors is because that's the most comparable gameplay we're going to get with these guys. They were playing the same teams, going up against the same matchups, and at the same stage of hockey. Um, and at the beginning of the tournament, I do think that Jack Eichel looked better, but he didn't he didn't improve as the tournament went on like McDavid did. I mean, we, we saw McDavid just begin at times to dominate and just I remember his breakaway goal against Norway, and it was incredible what he was doing, and um, he just rose to the occasion. And Jack Eichel, we didn't really see that, and I know McDavid was on a stacked Canadian team, but Jack Eichel was on a pretty good Team USA team as well, and that I just like to use that to show just how good McDavid is and why I think he's better than Eichel. And in terms of their rivalry a few years down the road from now, I think there will always be that rivalry just because these two guys were just compared so much before going to the draft. But I don't really think that there will be a debate between who's better. I think, um, McDavid will be the better player because I see McDavid in 4 years now being a top three player in the NHL, and I just don't see Eichel reaching that. I think he'll be elite, but I just think McDavid, he's got too much skill. Everything Eichel does, McDavid seems to one up. And overall, I just see Connor McDavid being the better player over the coming years.